Welcome back to Going Walkabout. We've just completed our second year of slow travel, and during the last year, we gazed at the ruins of Pompeii, floated on the pristine oceans of Positano, walked the streets of Palermo, stared in awe as the balloons grazed our heads in Cappadocia, rode camels in Tunisia, and enjoyed the sun-kissed shores of the Costa del Sol, ending our year in the quiet English countryside in the small village of Irwin Minster. In this video, snuggled up in a lovely thatched roof cottage, we'll recap our top 5 learnings from our second year of slow travel. I wanted to do a recap on this year as I did on our first year, so if you haven't watched that video, have a look, because these are 5 totally different things than the first year, where I did the top 10 things we learned in slow travel. This would be the top 5 things we've learned this year. And hopefully they'll be helpful to you if you decide to undertake a journey as we've taken in the last couple of years. Okay, here we are at number 1. And at number 1 we have stay flexible. And this is with your travel planning if you're going for 3 months, 6 months, whatever. We usually only book a couple of weeks in advance. And that's because we want the ability to stay in a place longer if we like the place. But I'll give you some other reasons that are very effective for cost savings as well. With Airbnbs especially, we usually only book for 10 days or 2 weeks because we want to get to a place and make sure that we like the accommodation, number 1. Number 2, we like the neighborhood or the area and, the country. And so if all those things kind of check the box in a positive direction, then we've also usually had the opportunity to get to know the person who owns the Airbnb. And if we want to stay longer, we can negotiate with them directly. This has allowed us to save so much money over the last year in several different locations. The other reason that you don't want to book too far in advance with, planes and accommodation and so forth is because there's different rules in different parts of the world. One rule to be very aware of in the European area is the Schengen Rule. And the Schengen Rule dictates that if you are a non-Schengen passport holder, you are only allowed 90 days out of 180 days in the Schengen area. And that's mostly all of the European countries. So what that means is if you don't want to stay your visit, you have to get out of the Schengen area. This did happen to us, and we had booked places in Mallorca and in Rome and in Malta and so forth, and already paid for them on Airbnb. So we had to leave the Schengen area for 2 months and go to Turkey so that we wouldn't overstay our 90 days. And then we had to come back. It all worked out fine, but that really taught me not to make plans too far in advance. As attractive as it feels to, have that confidence to know that you have a great accommodation somewhere, unfortunately, it doesn't give you flexibility in case some things change. And in that case, it was a big thing. So please look out for the different local rules, but certainly Schengen is one to be aware of, which is a very good segue into number 2. And number 2 is staying flexible also helps you save money, right? So one of the things that we really noticed is that we're retired so that we don't have to get home and go to work or meet deadlines or things like that. We can leave things more open-ended. It also allows you to save money on things like flights. And a great example is when we were in Turkey, we were in Alanya, and we needed to fly from Alanya to Istanbul. If we chose to fly at 7 o'clock in the morning or 8 o'clock in the morning, the ticket would have been $200 or euros per person more than if we chose to fly at 1 o'clock in the morning. I will tell you, flying at 1 o'clock in the morning was very hard. It was, I think, harder for our taxi driver, who was a little scary driving to the airport. He was falling asleep. But that saved us 400 euros, which easily paid for the flight from Turkey to Spain. And so having that flexibility and being able to go at times the other people who have jobs and responsibilities maybe don't want to go at those times, understandably so, gave us the ability to have a huge cost savings. And it's the same when it comes, it's also helped us with accommodation. Being able to stay in places in the off season, and I've done several videos on this, so hopefully you've had a chance to see some of them. the cost savings can be more than 50%. So your ability to not travel at peak times of the year is also a huge benefit to slow travel, and something that we've really taken advantage of here in Europe. And number 3, what you want to do that is really helpful is try to choose a destination that you will start with that has many other destinations you want to go to close by. Especially, like, first of all, figure out, are we going to be gone for 3 months, 6 months, whatever. And then sort of say, well, we could cover, a lot of the Italian coastline in those 3 months. So maybe we fly into Rome, and then we go down to Salerno and see Pompeii, and then from there we can go over to Malta. That's essentially what we did, by the way. But as you can see, we chose a destination that had several destinations we wanted to go to in the same area. It's really critical, because what you don't want to be doing is doing really large flights. We did not want to fly from Europe to Turkey. That was a 5-hour flight. We had a major calamity, which I will be telling you about because there's something else we learned through that. But you don't want to be doing that. If you get to an area like the Mediterranean, there's so much to see and do in that one area. So do take some time and kind of determine ahead of time. It also helps a lot with cost savings. What we found is that once you get to Rome, albeit it's expensive to fly from California to Rome, but once you get there, the high-speed trains are incredibly inexpensive and efficient, and they get you all over the country, and you pay so little, and they're so much easier than flying. Their train system in most of these countries is outstanding. So once you get there, you're not having to fly very much, which is really, really fantastic. So that's number 3. So on to number 4, which is a big one. Pick a loyalty program with whoever and stick with it. The 2 things that we decided to stick with, and this is a little bit of a knock-on from when I was working, because I was very loyal to Hilton when I was working, and I was very loyal to United because I flew a lot. So I got the United Visa card when I was working, and I got the American Express Hilton card. I cannot tell you how well those have worked out. I have the numbers for you right here. I will say ahead of time, there are many other cards and so forth. This is what I chose, and I am very happy with that choice, and I will tell you why. Both apps, the Hilton app and the United app, are outstanding apps to use. And being kind of an older person who's not so tech savvy, that's important to have something that's intuitive and easy. In both cases, it's very easy to use the points. So in the case of United, it's very easy to apply those points to getting airfare. And because of that, all of our transatlantic flights this last year we got for free. So that's 4 flights we got for free. And I'll tell you how much they cost in a minute. On American Express, Hilton, again, very easy to use the points that add up. And I use it to pay for our Airbnbs, which are usually a pretty high price tag. The offset is that I get hotels for free. So this last year, we got 16 free hotel nights. Now, the 2 of those together, the 4 transatlantic flights, the 16 hotel rooms for that year came to over $11,298 of savings. I was pretty happy with that. I liked it because we were able to easily use those points when it was important. And there were some pretty difficult times, where we needed a place to stay immediately, and I could just go on the Hilton app and use 30,000 points to stay in a small hotel that we needed to stay near the airport or something. If you're going to do slow travel, really look at these different loyalty programs and choose one that works the best for you. Definitely get the 3 different flavors of cards, a Visa, MasterCard, and American Express. The other thing with American Express that's worked out really well is that they do not charge any foreign transaction fees. And believe me, that can add up, because if I'm able to use my American Express, I use it for grocery shopping when I'm in foreign countries. If I alternatively have to use my MasterCard, which does charge for foreign transaction fees, they can be as much as $30 to $40 in addition every month, which I find quite high. So look into those different loyalty programs, start it now, stay loyal to them. If you have any comments or questions, leave them below. I'll be more than happy to get back with you on those. Wow, we've learned a lot for the last couple of years. So at number 5, we have apps. And I did do a thing on apps in the last one. So again, check that out. I did go more into apps for banking and everything. As far as apps go, I would highly recommend Expedia. If you're making travel plans, let's say you don't have a loyalty program, you're going to get the best rates on Expedia for flights, hotels, trains, you name it. We use Expedia pretty much for all of the flights that we had, let's say, in Europe. Now, the other thing that's even more fantastic is that Expedia bought a company called AirHelp. And now I will tell you our horror story. So we had to fly from Malaga to Istanbul, Turkey. We had to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning in Malaga so that we could get our taxi to the airport. We ended up getting to the airport, checked our bags, got in. We were supposed to take off at 8 in the morning. 8 o'clock came and went, nothing. And the plane never got there. We never got any updates. So there was 150 people with kids, oldies, you name it, all waiting to try to go to Istanbul. And we literally had no updates. We had nothing until 6 o'clock in the evening. They finally said, we're gonna get you on a flight. And they could only get us as far as Belgrade, which getting into Belgrade at midnight was more than a nightmare. It was a disaster. Well, all these people at the airport said, you've got to go to AirHelp. There's an app, AirHelp. AirHelp is owned by Expedia. AirHelp, basically, if you have a flight that's a disaster, maybe you still get to the destination, but the flight was a disaster. As long as you have your tickets and all the information documented, you put it into the AirHelp app, and they have lawyers that will fight for you to get your money back. We got a full refund directly into our bank account of $543 once they paid their fees. It took about 3 months for them to negotiate with Air Serbia, but they did everything. We didn't have to do anything. We did have to have the original ticket, and we did have to document kind of what happened, which only took me a few minutes. And then the rest they take care of, and it was the most amazing process. The other thing that we have found in this last year is using bookings.com has been great for hotels. And the reason why is, and I don't know if this is just Europe, it might be America as well, but they don't ask you to put a deposit. And that's really nice when you don't have to put a credit card down. The other thing they have is they do have a points system at bookings.com, and they will take your points and apply them to one of your stays. Like if you're not paying attention to that, which I wasn't, they were paying attention to it. So when we booked a hotel for 3 nights in Turkey, in Cappadocia, they applied our points to the hotel, and we only paid $26 a night to stay in a 5-star hotel. And it was 5-star. It was beautiful and beautiful breakfast and everything. And we only paid $26 a night because bookings.com had applied the points for us. So we thought that was pretty cool. So hopefully those are 2 things for you to look into in addition to other apps that you're certainly going to want to use. So that's it. That's our top 5 of learnings of slow travel after year 2. And yes, there will be a year 3. And I will tell you shortly here where we'll be looking at going to.
Year 3 of slow travel will have us back in California for a few months. Then we'll be off to the Yucatan to check out those fabulous pyramids, Costa Rica to check out the wildlife, and Antigua, Guatemala to hopefully take some much-needed Spanish classes. Thank you so much for watching. If you're enjoying the videos, a thumbs up would really help the channel. Or better yet, subscribe. Cheers for now.